Hey everybody, how are you? I am so happy to be back. I am Brenda Green, founder and CEO of the Be Strong Group, and welcome back to our Tuesday chat. I know it's been a minute since you've seen me live, but that doesn't mean we haven't been advocating and spreading awareness because we, the Be Strong Group, have been super busy. But we are happy to be here tonight because I want to catch you guys up on some things that we've been doing since the beginning of the year. And I know we're winding down to the end of 2024, but we're so excited. The mission is still on. Um, as for those of you who don't know, my husband and I founded this nonprofit in honor of our son, Braden, who has sickle cell disease, and we want to do our part in spreading awareness of sickle cell disease through advocacy, education, and awareness. And we want to do our part into educating not only ourselves and our fellow caregivers and warriors, but we also want to help educate our community because it takes all of us, it takes the entire community to ensure that our warriors, and that is what we call them, our warriors, our thrivers, our loved ones who have sickle cell disease, to be able to live good, quality, productive lives. And we need you too. So through our Tuesday chat, we wanted to cover topics that we feel would be important, that are important to those who walk the sickle journey. I want to be to the other chronic illness, or just want to know how you can support. I'm glad to have you listening on. You're taking it. Started off, Prince, we drive and that we do, and we is to spread those with sickle cell. The exchanges here, so we have one. We Clark Foundation, Faith L, in order to come to Sickle Cell Day, so host our as August as we kicking off Sickle Month at our annual Soccer for Sickle Cell event in my hometown, Eastover, South Carolina, where we hosted another blood drive. And our next blood drive and our final one, fourth and final of the year, will be December 27th at the Red Cross on Bull Street here in Columbia, from 10 to 3, where the theme is "'Tis the Season to Be a Lifesaver." So it's the season of giving, and what better gift to give is the gift of life. So make sure you sign up. There will be a link in the chat that we will share, or if you just follow us, whether it's on Facebook, Instagram, you'll see the link to donate, to sign up to donate blood at any one of our drives. And there's also a link that was created for if you can't join us live and in living color at our events, wherever you are, you can click on that link, and through the American Red Cross, you can donate, and your donation goes towards our numbers, and you will be a Braden's buddy. So let us know if you join our team, and then I'll send you a nice little gift. It's actually a wristband where we can give our Braden's buddies in our blood donation group. But we've hosted several events. We participated in a lot of community events and workshops and summits and panels. And one thing I wanted to talk about was our inaugural South Carolina Sickle Cell Symposium that we hosted on September 28th. That was a huge feat, but we were motivated by our lived experience, as far as realizing the importance of collaborating, of educating, of awareness through our community. So we had to bring who we called our key players to the table. And we hosted that, and I think it was successful. So today is the first of several series of discussions that we will talk and share with you about what happened at our symposium and some key elements of it. And I'm so excited about our guest coming forward, because not only did she actively participate on our planning committee, but she actively participated in the symposium and brought her own expertise. And she's here to share with us today about her participation in the Sickle Cell Symposium, but she's going to share with us about her organization. So I have the one, the only, and I will bring her to the studio, Miss Teonna Woolford. Have any hand claps? I got to get some sound going on, Teonna. Welcome. Thank you for joining me to kind of kick off these series of conversations about not just about the Sickle Cell Symposium, but we get a prize and a special part in you actually sharing later on about your organization, your mission, that is truly important to the sickle cell community, and our community needs to know. So thank you, Teonna. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. Teonna, can you just share with the people briefly, because you can share more about your nonprofit, but briefly about who you are and why you're here?
Yeah, so I am Teonna Woolford. I live in Maryland. I am 33 years old. I was born with sickle cell genotype SS. And I have been kind of in the advocacy space for a long time. Like I grew up going to SCDAA conferences and sitting under a lot of amazing people like Dr. Kim Smith-Whitley, Dr. Wanda Witten-Cherney. And so I've always kind of been in the sickle cell community, and then a couple years ago kind of carved out a very unique lane for myself that I know we'll talk about later. But yeah, just through like relationship building, I got connected with you and started planning this amazing event that you had, which I feel is incredibly successful, particularly since it was your inaugural one. And I'm just excited to see it grow and build and evolve. So yeah.
Thank you. So, Teonna, well, actually, I have some pictures I can show with the people. Let me see if I can get that together and just share. Ta-da! So, yes, you guys, we hosted our inaugural South Carolina Sickle Cell Symposium this past September, which was Sickle Cell Awareness Month. So it was right on time. And one of the things, the theme or the tagline was advancing change through education, advocacy, and collaboration. And I'm going to share a couple of pictures. So that's kind of our audience, and our MC of the event, the moderator, was Dr. Tracy Swilley, who happens to be a member of the board of directors for the Be Strong group, as well as she was recently awarded National Principal of the Year. So, yay, in the country. So it was definitely a pleasure and an honor to have her to moderate the entire event. And she pulled onto her experience of being an educator and a facilitator in making it all go along. So we will have her as a special guest on Tuesday Chat to give her perspective as well. But again, we wanted to address awareness, education to the audience. And then, Teonna, we had several pieces of the several key areas of participants in the event, right? We had our medical side, we had educators, and we call them stakeholders. We had our religious leaders, we had our political leaders of the state, and then we had our patients and our caregivers, and we had physicians, and scientists presenting, who are our allies, presenting at that event. But one key important part, and we actually got some kudos on it, and people thought it was very impactful. It was this panel that you put together and that you moderated. Can you share from your perspective why that was so important and why that is so powerful or impactful?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as you mentioned, you did a really great job at kind of convening everyone and bringing everyone into the same room, which is something that is very unique and important to me. A lot of times there'll be like ASH, which is really geared more towards medical providers. And then you have like consortium events that are more geared towards like community. And so I always love when I'm on a platform that kind of brings everybody in one room. And so the patient and caregiver panel for me, you had a lot of incredible content, but for me, that one was the most valuable, the most impactful, because as I always say, like, while there's all these doctors and they have these degrees, to me, there's nothing more valuable than the voices of those with the lived experience. And so that's what this panel did. And, we had a warrior who was able to talk about her transition process and how she was able to successfully transition and go to college. So it was really important to get her perspective. She also shared some things in her own transition that could have gone better. We had a social worker who was able to really speak to a lot of resources and talk about how to have like a seamless transition, because that's what we really wanted to talk about. Like ever since I was a little child, I've heard about how daunting the transition from pediatric to adult care is. And the fact that I'm 33 and we're still having those same fears and those same concerns is really disturbing to me. And so, your social worker was able to offer a resource and kind of talk about the expectations on the family, on the warrior, and also on the adult provider and the pediatric hematologist, and just how to make that a seamless transition. And then like Miss Cynthia on the end, she had a really unique perspective, because not only is she a social worker, but she also has a daughter with sickle cell. And so hearing how she was able to navigate the health system, it was just really fascinating, because obviously she's kind of like in between two worlds. So I just felt like they were dropping a lot of jewels and they gave us a lot of insight.
Yeah, and one thing that I wanted to make sure we brought to the table is that patient voice, is that caregiver voice.
Right.
Because in order for us to be sure that what I call our village is working together, is for them to know what we need.
Right.
And for us to voice our opinion. Can you speak on that a little bit more about what role our voices play into the whole sickle cell journey?
Well, yeah, I think that this was really cool because you had a lot of medical providers in the room. And a lot of times I find that there will be kind of like a disconnect between the family and the provider. Like there's certain things that the provider may prioritize that the patient and their family is kind of like, hey, that's not really on top of mind right now. I want to focus on this. And so I think the panel also gave everybody in the room an opportunity to kind of hear from various perspectives, like what's important, what do we need to be doing more of. And I think that ultimately the hope is when we, put ourselves in these vulnerable positions to talk about what we go through and the difficulties, the challenges, the barriers. Hopefully, it actually has an impact on clinical care, that these providers will go back and look at their practice and say, like, maybe this is what I need to work on. But unless you're willing to have those conversations like out loud and out in the open, like, how do they know?
Exactly. And that was definitely, as a caregiver, that's definitely what I want them to hear. And also to see us not under duress or stress in
Right.
a hospital
Mhm.
setting. I thought it was
Mhm.
important for them to see us, the patient and caregiver, as the amazing, beautiful people that we are and
Yeah.
what we bring to the table.
Right.
So,
I think that's important too. And that's one of the first things that I will say to someone, like a parent, when they call me about tips on transition. That's one of the things that I say, like, try to meet with the doctor, try to meet with the team when you're well, like at your baseline. So I also think that that was really important because it gives you the opportunity to just kind of humanize what you're going through. When you show up in the ER, it's just, you could easily be just another number. So I think spaces like this kind of reminds everybody, like, hey, these are like real life people. And then the other person that joined virtually was Dr. Desai, who, like, her reputation has preceded her. I've been on all types of working groups with her, and like, I know this woman like eats, sleeps, breathes sickle cell, and she's an adult hematologist. And so she also like provided her perspective on what she expects. And to be like, she wasn't even putting a lot of weight on the family, but it was just great to really have those various perspectives, and
exactly.
just kind of know, like, what can we do together? Because a lot of times I feel like that's a recurring theme in the sickle cell community, is like, we're all operating in silos. So it's great to kind of hear, like, this is what would help. This is what I expect from you. This is what I need from you. Just to really have those conversations out in the open.
Right. And I thought it was also important for us to have those allies, those advocates who are on the medical side. Like you
Mm-hmm.
already mentioned, we had the amazing Dr. Wanda Witten-Sherney to
Mm-hmm.
come and share from her perspective as an advocate, as a physician, as a leader, of a sickle cell organization.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Dr. Julie Cantor, who, joined us virtually before she was about to go to another country. She knew and understood how important this was to get the message across, to kind of educate our people. We had Dr. Jeff Schatz, our very own Dr. Jeff, who has
Mm-hmm.
dedicated over 30 years of his career to study sickle cell disease and the psychosocial impact of it. Um, who else did we have? And Dr. Desai that you mentioned as well.
Yeah,
Um,
so we had President Lori Vick, president of the International Sickle Cell
yes,
Association
right.
of Nurses. I SCNAPA. I
Yeah.
get the acronym a
Dr.
little bit
Lori.
twisted. But so having those, you had nurses, caregivers, mental health, like, and that's important because that's one of the things that we deserve as a community. We deserve a multidisciplinary approach to sickle cell. We deserve a holistic approach. And so the fact that for your first one, you were able to bring all these various stakeholders together. And then I think the other thing, like, I know when you and I first talked about this, it was really important to you that you kind of like, because, like, we're kind of like in these national spaces now, right? And I know for me, like a lot of my focus is on national advocacy. But one of the things that I think has always been important, but is going to be way more important than ever, is advocacy on a state level.
Right.
And activating our state advocacy efforts and initiatives. So that was another thing that was really exciting for you to kind of lay the foundation. Like, hey, on a state level, we have some work to do.
Right, exactly. And thank you for bringing that to my remembrance, because we do need that. And, I'm all about my village, and
Mm-hmm.
understood how important it was to kind of expand it upon Braden's diagnosis, in order for me personally, just to make sure he
Yeah.
has the, best opportunity to have for a good life as possible. And I knew I need to work together. So that's why we stress collaboration,
Yeah.
working together, not
It's gonna
against
take
each other.
everybody. Exactly.
Right, working together for the common goals, addressing sickle cell disease. So
Mm-hmm.
that was another thing I think we were able to accomplish through the symposium. And
Yeah.
guess what?
What?
We're talking about next year, right?
Oh, I know. It's just gonna keep getting better and better, you guys.
Yeah, yeah. So, but we're so excited where we're going as a nonprofit, and we're just trying to live and learn, and then share. I'm so grateful to have met you, and I hope you don't mind me sharing this, but you guys, I first saw Teonna's face actually at my first ever SCDAA convention, which is the Sickle Cell Disease of America Association of America, in Atlanta back in 2017. And I was able to hear Teonna's story from the first time from there. And I was, after then, I felt a little starstruck. So it was kind of ironic how we met over social media, initially, and then finally meeting in person. And now she's stuck with me. So, but let's just go ahead. Thank you for being a part of this. For helping me with the planning, and helping the nonprofit with the planning, and sharing your expertise. And of course, we already got you on the hook for next time, so that, like you said,
Yeah.
we can be bigger and better.
Right. I always love to participate in the first of something, right? Because you just get to be a part of the start, but then you get to just watch it evolve and watch it grow. And so I think that you really knocked it out of the park. I was very proud of you. I just can't
Thank
wait to see
you.
where it goes.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I was real nervous, but I'm very pleased and how everybody came together. And I'll definitely give everybody the shout out that they need, because there's so many people that came together. My Be Strong Group team
Yeah.
came together to make it happen. The CME program, we were able to provide.
Yes.
They worked with us. University of South Carolina, Prisma. Even though we had representation from most of the hospital systems in South Carolina, well, we had Lexington, we had Prisma Health, we had MUSC there. Um, I'm so grateful because my son was under the care through Prisma Health. And
Mhm.
so the support that they provided towards this event, understanding how important it is, to spread awareness of sickle cell disease, to make sure the community knows, to make sure the community even understands the need of sickle cell patients and their families,
Mhm.
to get the word out to potential future hematologists or specialists that could work with sickle cell disease, or primary care
Right.
physicians, because we need primary care physicians for our adult sickle cell warriors. So I'm already thinking about other topics we discuss, because this is not simple. This is a complex illness and situation. So I'm so happy and for the support that they've shown us. But so Looking forward to the next.
Oh, you know what else I noticed that we never debriefed about? It
What?
was like a long day, right? But I felt like the energy stayed the same throughout, like because the content was like so valuable. The speakers were very like engaging, passionate. So I never felt like it was a time where people were like, "Oh my gosh, I just want to go home." You know what I mean?
Oh, you're right. I'm so glad you pointed that out.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, that didn't even cross my mind. Nobody
It just
was
came
bored,
to
and everybody was hanging out towards the end and networking and asking questions. And so, yeah, that was a good thing. And of course, shout out to all of my sponsors too.
Oh
So,
yes,
a
yes.
lot of good sponsorships from Pfizer to and look, of course, I don't have it written all down, but Chiese, um,
Kenzie, Bluebird.
Team, Bluebird Bio. So we're so happy for our sponsors and supporters, and even our local sponsors as well. So we're excited.
Right. We'll
Uh,
need more next year, you
yes,
guys.
definitely. So, but Tiana, share more about SC Red. What is SC Red?
Yeah, so SC Red stands for the Sickle Cell Reproductive Health Education Directive. I took the H out of it because I just like SC Red. The H was tripping me out. So that's what it stands for. And we are the first and only sickle cell organization in the entire world to center our mission around reproductive and maternal health. So a lot of times when people hear reproductive health, they just think women. But this organization, literally, there's a place for everybody, like gay, straight, trans, whether you want kids, whether you don't want kids, because that's the other thing. People hear reproductive health and they don't really start thinking about reproductive health until it's time to reproduce, not really taking into account that, like, your reproductive organs also suffer from sickling. There's damage that can be done. And so, like I said, it's also not just like an adult issue. So it's a lifespan thing because, like, one of the things we know that's common amongst our children is like delayed puberty and just the isolation when you're in that locker room and you don't look like everybody else. And so that's where it really starts. And even beyond that, when I think of reproductive health, I think about like family planning. And so just knowing your trait status and so we address like pregnancy, hormones, menopause, priapism, contraception, sex, all of these things that historically have kind of taken a back burner.
Right. And initially, to be totally honest, when, like you said, when we think of reproductive health, we immediately think of women, female. And then no, it's more than that. And I had to think when it comes to my son as well. So, like you mentioned, the things that impact them.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's important for everybody to know that. What
Yeah.
are yeah? What are some of your main initiatives?
Ooh. Um, you guys, we have so much going on. I'm gonna be honest
Mm.
that a little bit about my story, kind of like what inspired me to start was like I had a bone marrow transplant 13 years ago, and just I'm not gonna bore you guys with the whole story, but just the lack of access, like not having access to fertility preservation. 13 years ago, and then 3 years ago, seeing that we still don't have access. But then, like I said, it's more than that, right? It's like lack of access to care for pregnant women, the stigma that's faced with priapism, just all these different things. So, to answer your question about initiatives, um, one of the things that we kind of started the first 3 years was just kind of having the conversations and raising awareness. So, we did like the fireside chats, we've been doing the webinars, but now it's kind of time to really influence policy and clinical care. So, we'll be launching like an ambassadors program, which is trying to do kind of essentially what you are and making sure that we're empowering individuals to engage with their state legislators, particularly as it involves reproductive health, because of, I'm not going to get into it, but because of the political climate, it really is going to come down to reproductive rights happening on a state level. So working on an ambassador program. We want to do some focus groups just on different, we want some insights, like how should providers be talking to you guys about reproductive health. We have a reproductive life plan that's like a manual, right? Because I feel like I did not start having conversations about reproductive health until I was in my consultation for the bone marrow transplant. That was the first time that I heard about a potential correlation between sickle cell and fertility. I was 19. So the reproductive life plan, it's going to be literally from genetic counseling, puberty, all the way to menopause, everything in between. And just to kind of help you on this journey, like how do you navigate your reproductive health with sickle cell? So we have that. We're going to do some in-person events, some retreats, and there's a lot going on. So you just have to stay tuned.
Oh yeah. So I'm just excited to have had an opportunity to kind of work with you, to kind of to see some of the behind the scenes things as far as your organization. And there is a lot of work.
Yes.
And there is a lot of connection as far as bring the people that comes to the table, because this is it's important, a lot of issues that's covered. So it's definitely been an honor to be a part of that, because this is something that everybody should pay attention to.
Yeah.
So we have Ash coming up, right?
Oh my gosh, yes, Ash. I'm excited. But Ash is exhausting. But one of the things that's been really cool to be a part of this community for so long is like, I remember a day, and for people who don't know, like ASH is the American Society for Hematology. And so it's not just a sickle cell conference. It's like all of these different blood disorders. So like leukemia, it's just all types of, any type of condition that falls under hematology, they are in the room. And so it's an opportunity to like hear the latest research. Basically, ASH is very like research focused. And so I was just saying that there was a time when you would go to ASH and there would be like 1 or 2 sessions on sickle cell, and it would be in the smallest room possible. You have to walk 5 miles to get there. But now when you pull up the agenda and just type in sickle cell, we're all up and through. And so it's just really been cool to see how we've evolved, like not just from an advocacy space, but from a research space as well.
Right. That is so, I mean, it's so exciting. And just for me, just going over the different topics and the different areas and the different information that you can learn. I'm encouraged as a caregiver, right? I think that gives us this hope, more hope, that there will be a cure that's going to be safe for my warrior. Coming up soon, because there's more research and there's more people paying attention.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's one of the things that we did, that we've been doing, is these critical conversations webinars. And that's kind of the point, is to like, because first of all, guys, like ASH is not incredibly accessible. Like it's expensive to travel. The registration is a little high. I'm thankful that they do have like scholarships for nonprofits now, but and like I said, it's really not community centric. It's always in this huge convention center. You're walking forever to get there. It's exhausting. But you really do get to hear about these like people on the front lines in their labs daily. Like John Tisdale, he always presents, and he's literally been working on gene therapy and bone marrow transplant since the 90s. And so to have him kind of walk us through the evolution of that, and now there's 2 gene therapies approved. So you really get to meet the people that are like on the front lines of these therapies, of this research. And not even just like different therapies, but they're talking about things like walking you through the data, like how many people have successfully had a baby post bone marrow transplant, things like that. So these are the type of conversations and presentations that you get to hear. And that's one of the things that we were doing with the webinars, because not enough of us are in those rooms. So unless you attend things like ASH, you really don't know how many people are actually dedicated to this community, people who did not have to be.
Right.
And so I think that that's something that's really cool. And I just wish that we could have these presentations like more front and center, so that the community can really see the people working for us to try to help us have a better quality of life. And so that's one of the things, like I'll usually have a presenter, an academic presenter, kind of talk about their research, but that's all ASH is all day, every day.
Right. And I'm glad you said that, because it kind of takes me back to when when early on, when our son was younger and we really didn't know, and we were at a point where we felt like we were alone and that nothing was happening. And then just even on a smaller scale, for me attending the convention back in 2017, that opened my eyes when I saw all, hundreds of people, and they were all there for sickle cell disease, discussing it. How can we help? How can we work together and collaborate? And that just brought a lot more hope for me as a caregiver, that, I wasn't alone in this journey, and to open up. And so that was one of the things that motivated me into starting a Be Strong group, right? Bringing some of this back home, sharing it with my community, sharing with my fellow caregivers about what's going on. And I'm glad you mentioned that, even being on the advocacy level more national now, we get to see more of what's really going on that a lot of people don't see and may get a little discouraged.
Exactly.
Right? So, yeah, that's another benefit of being able to go that way. But that's an importance of those critical conversations that you were talking about, or the webinars that you're discussing,
Right.
so that we could share on via our platform, right?
Yeah.
So, are there any events that you've participated in, hosted, that you want to discuss about or share, or even future events? I know I've shared your website to the people in the comments, that if they want to find out what's going on with you and what's happening with SC Red, they can.
Yeah. So, well, we had two, I guess I can call one an event. You were there just in September. I hosted a critical conversations dinner. So, at the dinner, I had a panel discussion moderated by myself and also Dr. Wanda Winchern. I don't know why I just pointed to her like she was here. And I had a really amazing panel. I had Dr. Lydia Pecker, who was one of my co-founders. Dr. Pecker is the one who has published papers about hydroxyurea potentially impacting ovarian reserve. And she also has some papers. She's the one that also brought to light the fact that for women with sickle cell, the maternal mortality rate is 26 times higher than the national average. And we already know that Black maternal health is being considered a public health crisis. So why isn't specifically to sickle cell? That's how I feel it should be a public health crisis. And then I had John Tisdale, who, like I said, has been working on the gene therapy and bone marrow transplants. And I also had Dr. Janet Choi, who is a reproductive endocrinologist. So one of the things that's been a little bit disturbing to me, or well, not disturbing, but off-putting, is we, over the last year or so, have just been getting bombarded by reporters and getting invited to different events revolving around fertility preservation and gene therapy. And yes, that's very important, but I wanted to broaden the conversation, because what people are not realizing is even just at baseline, like regardless of if you're getting a gene therapy, there is reason to hone in and pay attention to your fertility status.
Mm-hmm.
And so the way that we're figuring out how are we going to get resources, how are we going to get fertility preservation access to people undergoing gene therapy, just anybody with the disease state, hydroxyurea, we need to be having the conversation. So that was kind of the purpose of that, was to just broaden it. And I got invited 75 people, 85 showed up. Like,
Right.
you have people from like CVS, the different pharmaceutical companies, the community, maternal health, Sister Song, just all these like reproductive health organizations. So it was really cool. And we had some good food, some little mocktails.
Yes.
It's also really good networking. And the following day, since everybody from my team was in town, I took advantage of that, and we had like a 6-hour strategic planning session, which it was really important to me that you were there, because one, you are like a community advisor, but also because you have your own organization. And so I feel like that's one thing that we don't always do well. Like, we'll start these nonprofits out of a need that's not being filled, and we're passionate, we're emotional about it. But at the end of the day, once you have a 501c3, you really do have to kind of operate it as a business.
Mm-hmm.
So it was an opportunity for my team to get together. I spent a couple of weeks putting together a 5-year vision, and then just brought my whole team together to discuss, like, okay, how do we get SC-RED to that 5-year vision? What are the strategies? And that's something that I think all organizations really need to do, is like that 5-year plan and prioritize, because you can't do everything.
Exactly.
So I was really excited, and just really excited about what came out of that. And so I'm just really excited for next year. And honestly, like, we have so many events coming up, some in-person fireside chats, and some in-person focus groups, and like I said, the ambassador program, and just all types of stuff.
Okay, so we're excited. Teonna, how can people just stay on top of what SC-RED has going on?
I think you should go to the website and sign up for my newsletter, my monthly
Sign up for the
newsletter.
newsletter.
Do a really good job. I try to do a really good job at keeping everything up to date in that newsletter. And I do have some things coming up, like I'm saying, the focus groups, the ambassadors, where I'm going to need people from the community. So, yeah.
Yeah, and that's a way that more of us can help or can give back. You don't always have to give a whole bunch of money, but just sharing your story, just giving your feedback or your perspective.
Exactly.
And oh my God, can help us accomplish so much. And we have to understand the power of our stories, right? And our efforts. So please make sure you go to the website, sicklecellred.org, and sign up for the newsletter so you can stay involved. And I know she's on social media, so make sure you go on the Facebook, the Twitter, the Instagram, and follow SC-RED. Thank you again, Teonna, for being here. And I appreciate it. Is there anything else that you want to share? Share for the people?
No, not really. But I mean, I guess my closing message would just be like piggybacking off of what you said. Like, don't undervalue or devalue your voice. And I know that, like, as caregivers, as warriors, we go through a lot, and it can get really dim. But ultimately, like, we all have a purpose, and it might not be like me and Brenda where you start your own nonprofit, but like she was saying, like, even just sharing your story, it can really go a long way. Ultimately, really, that's how I kind of broke out in this community, so to speak, is just showing up and sharing my story. And so just don't underestimate the power, like I said, of the lived experience.
I'm glad you said that. Never underestimate the power of your lived experience, right?
Right.
And no matter how many, whether you have your child or you have one crisis a year, or every voice counts
Yeah.
and matters. And there's something that we can all contribute when it comes down to advocacy. So Teonna, thank you again. Thank you
Thank
again for
you.
coming on and sharing about our inaugural, your participation in our inaugural Sickle Cell Symposium here in South Carolina, but also sharing more about your story and SC Red, and what you're doing, what your mission is, and you're doing a lot of things, but we appreciate you. I appreciate you for going on and taking time, and to everybody who has listened, who will be listening on replay, thank you, thank you, thank you for taking time. Make sure you visit um, the website is sicklecellred.org, and stay tuned to what Teonna will be um, doing. And make sure you still follow the Be Strong group as well. And don't forget, Friday, December 27th is our fourth and final blood drive of the year. So make sure you come and join in on our theme. 'Tis the season to be a lifesaver, save some lives.
Mm,
Invite someone to come out and donate. Oh, we want 50 people sign up to donate blood. Okay. We want to end the year on a bang. So go ahead and start sharing that link and sign up. We'll also have some education. We'll have some lunch. We'll have some music, and we'll all uh, network and work together to make sure that's a very good event. So, thank you again for everybody for listening. Tuesday Chat, we're back, and I'm going to be more consistent, and we'll see you next time with our series 2 of
yeah.
this discussion. Good night.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Yeah, we're about to celebrate Thanksgiving. Be safe, you guys.
Bye.